Hi, this is Pastor Bob Yandian. My broadcast is Student of the Word. I'm calling this particular teaching the miracle of spit and sight. Mark chapter 8, verses 22 through 25, Jesus came to Bethsaida, and they brought a blind man to him and begged him to touch him. So he took the blind man by the hand and led him out of the town. And when he had spit on his eyes and put his hands on him, he asked him if he saw anything. And he looked up and said, "I see men like trees walking." Then he put his hands on his eyes again and made him look up, and he was restored and saw everyone clearly. There's an unanswered question in here that God has finally answered for me, but for years I couldn't figure this one out. There's something which used to bother me about this story of healing. I've heard this passage preached before, but have never been fully satisfied with the answers I heard. The purpose of my teaching will be to answer the question, increase your anticipation of faith, and be healed. The question is this: why did Jesus spit on the blind man's eyes? I don't care how you examine spitting in the Bible. It's a great insult to spit on someone or to be spit on. Anyone under the law who was spit on had to wash themselves and their clothes and be considered unclean until the evening, Leviticus chapter 15 and verse 8. Other scriptures deal with the insult of being spit on, Numbers chapter 12 verse 14 and Deuteronomy chapter 25 and verse 9. Jesus was spit on as a great insult before he was crucified in Matthew 27. The local church at Laodicea was threatened by God to be spit out of his mouth for their lukewarm views. I don't think this was a compliment, but a great insult to the church. The story of the blind man has been taught by many ministers who try to say that spit of Jesus was different. This was not a curse or an insult, but a blessing, they say. This was creative, miracle spit. Even Jesus' spit will heal you. After fruitless searching throughout the Old and New Testament, I decided to pray. Oh my gosh, has it come to that? I should pray. I decided to pray and see if the Holy Spirit has an answer. I expected, like with most of my prayer requests, I would hear from God after a long period of time, perhaps during a time when someone was preaching a sermon in days to come, but I was answered by Jesus himself immediately. This very rarely happens that the Lord speaks to me, and he said, "I did not spit on the blind man." I said, "Yes, you did. It says so right here. I did not spit on the blind man. I spit on the blindness." What an insult to the sickness and the works of Satan. Jesus spit on two others in the New Testament. He healed another blind man by spitting in the clay and rubbing it in the man's eyes in John chapter 9, verses 1 through 7. He also spit on the tongue of a man who had a speech impediment in Mark chapter 7 and verse 33. Notice in all of these cases, Jesus' spit touched the part of the body which was diseased, again showing he spit on the disease, not on the person. Jesus did not always touch or lay hands on the part of the body which was diseased. He touched Jairus' dead daughter on the hand to raise her from the dead, and Peter's mother-in-law on the hand to heal her of a fever. Jesus touches people, but he spits on the devil and his works. If you enjoyed this message, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.